Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play and earn games on the blockchain, such as Splinterlands. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the topic of soulbound reward card drop rates and possible unlock timing here for these soulbound reward cards. Now, the clip we're going to play is from Splinterlands TV's Twitch stream from about 2 weeks ago, and I apologize for the delay in getting this cut and published, but things have been really busy here for me personally, so I've been a little remiss in getting my Splinterlands videos out on time. But I will be publishing this one here as well as a few more here in the coming days, so be on the lookout for that. And let's hop into the clip. And remember, until next time, keep stacking those stats. And I can share some data and some numbers that I put together. We can talk about this because I think we've now had enough data points that we can kind of extrapolate timeframes for soulbound reward cards. And I'm going to give you my specific example that's unique to me. It's not maybe unique to yourself, so your data may be different or your experiences may be different. So and different, it could be better or it could be worse. I really don't know. But I'll share the data that I have, and we can talk about what it means, moving forward in Splinterlands as far as, excuse me, the timing of, how long this particular set of soulbound reward cards will be with us, and also maybe when we could potentially expect some kind of unlocking mechanisms of soulbound reward cards. So let's take a look at this. This data is coming from my main account, which you can see here is in Champ 3. By the end of the season, I should be in Champ 2. So I'm in Wild, and I've been taking a little bit of hit in soulbound reward cards recently with a shift to Wild. I'm getting a little bit more SPS, but I'm getting less soulbound reward cards because it's a little bit tougher here. I spend some time in Diamond to start the season out because I don't get to Champ 1, so I'm starting in Diamond 1 to start the season, and then I just kind of bounce around in Champ 3 and then eventually get to Champ 2. So that's kind of where this data is coming from, just so you have a frame of reference there. This is like Champ 3, Champ 2, sometimes Diamond 1 rating points that are generating this data. So let's take a look at it. So this first set of data is for common soulbound reward cards, and I used basically the start of February as the calculations for this. It's maybe not exactly specific to the specific date because I think I might have started February 2nd. I have to look at the exact data, but basically what I'm using here is 5.25 months of window of time frame. So during soulbound reward cards, since soulbound reward cards have been released, it's been about 5.25 months, and during that time we've achieved basically 194 BCX of soulbound reward cards on average across all the commons thus far. And what that means is our average drawing rate for a given common card in a month is 36.95 BCX of that card per month. And for me, the highest common card I have is 252 BCX. And the lowest BCX I have of a common card is 137 BCX. So that's the range. And basically what I've calculated here is, the range of time it would take for me to max out that common card for my league level, which is champion. And for my highest BCX cards, on an average of 36.95 cards a month, it's going to take me 4 months approximately to max out my my best soulbound reward card common. Now my worst common, due to RNG, it'll probably take around 7.12 more months to max out that low BCX card that I can't seem to draw very often. That's just the averages. You know, you never know what RNG will do, but that gives you kind of a range to work with. Now, if we then extrapolate that, the total time it's expected for me to max my common regular foil card set is going to be 1 year and 0.37 months from the time Soulbound reward cards were released to when I, as a Champion 3, Champion 2 player, will be able to max them for my level. So that's, you know, it's a while, a year and 0.37 months. I've got basically, like you can see there, like I said, either 4 to 7 more months to max common cards in my collection. Now, all of this data I'm sharing with you today is just regular foil data, because at this point in time, I've received at least 1 copy of every regular foil Soulbound reward card. I couldn't do this calculation for gold foils because there are actually quite a few gold foil cards that I don't even have 1 gold foil copy of after 5.25 months. So obviously when you start working with zeros, well, that number is infinity, basically, from a math perspective, until you actually draw the card to be able to use the data. So I wasn't able to put really good data together for gold foils, so we're just looking at regular foils here today. So what I want to show you here is the data for rare Soulbound reward cards. Now, rare Soulbound reward cards after 5.25 months, I've drawn an average of 41 BCX, and my average draw rate is basically 7.81 BCX per rare card per month in the Soulbound reward card collection. The highest BCX that I have is 70 BCX, and the lowest BCX I have of a rare card is 13. So pretty big range. And what it means is I can expect somewhere of maxing out my rare cards individually between 5.76 more months to 13.06 more months to max these out. And as you know, Soulbound Summoners are rare cards. So, and actually one of that lowest BCX number, that 13 number, is actually a summoner for me specifically. So I'm looking at maybe another year and a month or so to just max out my rares for Soulbound reward cards. And again, I'm playing at Champ 3, Champ 2, basically. Now, the total time expected to max my Soulbound rare card set is 1 year and 6.31 months. So it's basically 18.31 months is what I'm looking at as the estimated time frame for me to max my rare regular foil Soulbound reward card set at the current rates, basically drop rates. So yeah, I mean, when Matt said this, you know, set will be around for a year to 2 years, I mean, I think I'm doing well in the game, and it's going to take me basically 18 months to max out my Soulbound rare cards. So, you know, if you're doing better than me, it'll be less. If you're doing worse than me, maybe it'll take longer. In any case, it's a lot of time. And yeah, I mean, the one thing I'm not doing is I'm not using DEC or DECB to buy energy because it's very expensive at Champion for Champion Chess. So keep that in mind. You know, if you're at a different league level where it's more affordable, you might be, you know, farming more Soulbound reward cards. Now let's look at epic data. Epic data here. The average epic BCX after 5.25 months is 16.14 BCX per epic card. My average rate of drawing epics per month is 3.07 BCX per card per month. And the highest BCX of epic cards I have is 25 and the lowest is 9. So you can see the range here. It'll take me between 6.84 to 12.05 more months moving forward to max out my epics for the Soulbound reward card set. And that leads us to the total time expected to max my epic Soulbound reward card set to be 1 year and 5.3 months. So a little bit less than the rares is what we're looking at for our epics, which is interesting data, I think. And then here, the legendaries, including with the legendaries, the average legendary BCX for me after 5.25 months is 4.08 BCX. That means average draw rate, I'm getting about 0.78 BCX per legendary card per month. And the highest BCX I have is 9, and the lowest BCX I have is 1. That gives a range of between 2.56 to 12.82 more months to max my legendary Soulbound reward cards. And the overall total time expected to max my legendary Soulbound reward card set, regular foil, is going to be 1 year and 6.07 months. So you're kind of seeing a little bit of a trend here. We're probably looking at, 18 months, at least for my type of game progression, is what it's going to take for me to max out Soulbound reward cards. Now, if we just say, for example, that I'm the mean or the average for player in Splinterlands, I don't know if I'm slow or fast. Let's just say I'm the average at this point. What it means, for our conversation here today is what can we, I guess, surmise or guess will be the time frame, 1, for Soulbound reward cards to be in print for the current set, and 2, when do we think the Splinterlands team will introduce unlocking mechanisms for Soulbound reward cards for people that might want to sell them on the market? Let's start with the first question. I'll give you my initial take, and then we'll definitely like to get your feedback here in the stream as well. But I think that we really are looking at perhaps a 18-month minimum to 24-month or 2-year time frame for this Soulbound reward card set to be in the game, to at least give people the opportunity to earn the max level for their league levels, before having to buy cards off the market. So I think that's certainly a reasonable range that we might expect, and that's a long time to have these specific cards in the game for earning. That being said, so if I were to guess when the team would unlock mechanisms to allow us to sell Soulbound reward cards, I think Matt has said he thinks some players might max their sets here within the next month or so. For me, like I said, it's going to be best case scenario would be my commons, and that would be 4 more months in the future for me. But I would probably say we would have unlocking options before the end of the year for Soulbound reward cards. And let me talk about why. If the set's going to be around for 18 to 24 months, if we can, let's just say, guess that that's the case, I think the cards will be available for sale before the set goes out of print. And why do I think that? Well, I think it's a matter of the card economy, because I don't think you want to wait until some players have literally perhaps thousands of Soulbound reward cards in their inventory just waiting to sell, and then you unleash the floodgates 18 to 24 months right when the Soulbound reward cards prints ends. Because what's going to happen in the market is everyone's going to just dump this huge queue or stack of extra cards all at once, and what you're going to have is market values that are pennies or fractions of pennies at that point, because you're just going to have perhaps a huge excess supply of cards at that point in time, and maybe not as many people buying. So from a marketing perspective, it would make sense for the team to open up the unlocking or sellable nature of Soulbound reward cards basically as soon as people, or in a reasonable time frame when people start getting extras that they really can't use for their collection. Because what that will do is provide a premium price to those who have done very well, or those who choose to liquidate early some of their cards, and not flood the market. Because, for example, if you have 100 cards available to sell versus 10,000 cards, you'd probably want 100 cards to go on the market all at once versus 10,000, just as an example of magnitude. So I believe that we'll see unlocking of Soulbound reward cards here sometime between maybe the end of summer and end of the year, just to mitigate that mad rush of cards being for sale on the markets.